we have our next speaker, which is Raffi Schieir, the Director of Prevented Ocean Plastic. As well as diverting plastic away from our oceans, Prevented Ocean Plastic supports coastal communities in developing countries by supporting bottle collectors, collection centres, and local recyclers based there. So, without further ado, please welcome him to the stage for his presentation titled Investing in the Blue Economy, Why Tomorrow is Too Late.
Thank you so much, Emily. Really pleasure to be speaking with you, and a big hello to everybody. We have a good opportunity to do some good. For us, it's a real big project of interest, of business, of passion, to be able to organize infrastructure, to be able to collect recycled plastics before they get into the ocean. It's really important. I'm right now in front of the ocean, as you can see. I've been on a beautiful supply trip through Southeast Asia, and right now I'm in East Africa, areas that are greatly at need. And there's something we can really do about it. And we can do it right now, and we can do it today, and we don't have to wait. So jumping straight into the presentation, we all know that there's a problem. I mean, that's absolutely clear. We don't need to show you too many slides of this. You've all seen them before. Often people will think about this problem as, from a business perspective, as a supply issue. You have really big businesses that are saying, well, we don't have supply security, we don't have enough material out there. And I would say, actually, it's not a matter of it being a supply issue. If we lift up our heads and we look around the world, especially in developing countries, there's more than enough plastic laying on the ground for us to collect and prevent this plastic en masse and supply it into big businesses and big brands. It's not a supply issue, really. It's a demand issue. That's what we've always thought, and that's what we've always believed. Historically, as most of us know, no top 10 FMCG company has used more than 10% recycled plastic. How is it possible to put 100 units of something into the world, buy back less than 10 of those units, and expect recycling to work? What we're saying is that it is possible to build infrastructure. It is possible to collect this plastic. And one thing that's absolutely just interesting is that there's $100 billion of plastic laying on the ground for people to collect and create social support. And that brings us to our next slide, which is turning the tide on this. What we can do is go to areas that are most at risk, and we can apply really simple and basic elements of infrastructure. All of you in the industry will know exactly what's required. We're talking about having good quality bales, good quality traceability practices, good quality methodology for social elevation. And when we invest and we create this very standard infrastructure, but we do it well and we do it with quality, we can really turn the tide on this. And that's something that was demonstrated and continues to be demonstrated in the Prevented Ocean Plastic Southeast Asia partnership that was done with Circulate Capital. And what we're doing is going to 16 islands that never had collection before, 16 islands in the South Pacific and Southeast Asia that never had any collection capacity. We're creating the first ever collection centers. We're creating the first ever infrastructure where plastic that would otherwise flow into the ocean, that would not be collected by governments, that would not be collected by anyone, can now be monetized, collected, and brought back into the supply chain. And that's really exciting. It's really exciting because it also meets the needs of industry and meets the needs of business. Right now, recycled materials, often referred to as rPET, rPET, the most standard type of plastic that's being collected, that clear plastic, that is something that is actually undersupplied in Europe because everyone's competing for the bottles being collected in Germany, in the Netherlands, in other developed countries. But actually, we can make the pie so much bigger. We can go out to areas that never had recycling capacity before, where these bottles are just all over the place. We can apply simple, basic infrastructure, bring it back into the supply chain. And what's really important is we can allow the consumers to choose and prefer materials in recycled plastic and prefer packaging in prevented ocean plastic. When you get final products that have the logo on it, the consumer knows it came from a good place through a good system, and this is real recycling that happens at quality. This really helps us engage in that blue economy, in that circular economy, as we all know. So our main argument in a circular economy is it's not just about what we put in our recycling bin. It's not just about dropping plastic in a recycling bin and hoping that something good happens from it, because we all know that a lot of this plastic ends up being mismanaged And often this plastic will be sent out to poorer nations, and we put our problems on countries that have trouble handling their own waste and definitely don't need ours. A circular economy means not only focusing on what we put in the recycling bin, but then drawing it back out through demand into final products. So as I said, right now on the store shelves, good luck when you walk through the supermarket and try to figure out what's made out of recycled plastic and what's made out of new plastic. It's a really hard thing to do. But as consumers, if we can go into supermarkets and demonstrate demand and show that when companies show off the fact that they're using recycled content, that they're meeting government guidelines, that they're choosing prevented ocean plastic, if we can then seek out those logos and those labels and support them with our demand, the big businesses will show demand, and then through the supply chain, we'll get the infrastructure we need to create that demand. To be honest with you, that is what is required in order to solve this problem. It is not a supply issue. We cannot wait for big governments and big business to do it out of the goodness of their heart to clean up the problem. What we need to do is create infrastructure, aligned business solutions that will drive this plastic into recycling. It will drive this plastic to be collected, create a new value, give it a second life, and then when we buy our basic products, our personal care items, our cosmetic items, we can then buy that out of a recycled plastic, something that's brought back into our supply chain, something that's brought back with a second life. And we know that plastic wasn't used just one time, thrown away, out of sight, out of mind, but somebody collected it, somebody got paid to collect it, and we brought that back into our supply chain for second, third, fourth life. And that's really exciting. So we focus on a recycling model that works. We believe at Prevented Ocean Plastic and also at our Prevented Ocean Plastic Research Center that this is an area that needs more study, that we have essentially 60% of recycling that comes through the informal waste sector. That means it's not government collection, it's not municipal collection. It's private individuals going out to collect plastic and bring it back into the supply chain. But we only have one word for this. We only call it the informal waste sector. We don't properly define how this happens. Is this an individual on a truck? Is this an individual who's going out with a rickshaw, a private person with a sack, someone doing industrial manufacturing, but as a private individual? I'm from Canada originally. I now live in the UK for more than a decade. In Canada, there's more than 30 separate words for snow in some of the native languages, and that's something we need in informal waste. We need to understand the definitions and have different words for different types of collection. What is really good quality collection? What is, for example, an elevated practice with traceability, with dignity of prevented ocean plastic? And then what is a more at-risk type of collection that we want to avoid? So for example, there's people who are walking on landfill. In prevented ocean plastic, we don't use landfill collected plastics. Now, that's a community that still needs to be supported, but it's an NGO project. That's a social project. It's very hard to drive business through landfill collection because the levels of difficulty are so deep. But there's certain areas where we can build infrastructure, where we can make something fit for purpose, elevate social dignity, support the collectors, support traceability, and create a quality 99% PET bottle bale that will then be fit for business and allow us to create a 100% water bottle that can go on store shelves. That happened in the California market, where we won a sustainability initiative award through iSeal, and there's a 100% water bottle made out of prevented ocean plastic. Here in our partnerships with Little supermarkets, really excited to say, Prevented Ocean Plastic got Sustainable Initiative of the Year, along with Little and Groupe Guillen, our partners creating a real manufacturing practice that works. If you go into your Little supermarkets, you'll find the Prevented Ocean Plastic logo on just about every piece of fish, on breaded chicken, and now expanding into other categories. They're doing billboard advertising and television advertising because this is a recycling model that works. There's dignity in the supply chain, there's elevation in the supply chain, traceability, and quality for food safety. We've spent hundreds of thousands of euros. Our regulatory managers are absolutely top notch to make sure that you get the best quality plastic collected in the best ways to create the ability to get to 30, 50, and 100% recycled material inclusion. We don't do this just because we say we can do it on 1 ton or 2 tons. We're really happy to say that we do this on tens of thousands of tons per year. Right now, Prevented Ocean Plastic is the largest ocean plastic prevention program anywhere that we're aware of. We don't really know of other groups that are able to do more than 1,000 tons a year. We're able to do 10 and 20,000 tons per year with our partners. And we know that almost every coastal region that we go to, whether it's Southeast Asia, Mediterranean, East Africa, Latin America, we know almost every coastal region we go to, if we build new infrastructure and we elevate the methodologies of recycling, add traceability, add dignity, add quality, we know we're doing a good thing. Jobs are being created and this plastic is being captured and prevented from going into the ocean, and it is so, so, so important. Also, it's a business. So we do this not because we're, just trying to save the planet. We want to save the planet, but we secure our families, we secure our employees, we secure everybody in the supply chain because it's an aligned business model that truly works. And we're exceptionally proud that it does more good than it does harm. So as you can see, this is something that really works at scale. A lot of people are being employed here. We're talking about thousands of people in the supply chain. We're talking about individuals who are going through collection, sortation, manufacturing. We also have office managers, quality control managers. There's elements of women's empowerment involved, especially in certain regions and certain financing projects. We're super happy to say that we are the first private recycling company to ever receive USAID support. USAID on July 27 has announced their public financial support to Prevented Ocean Plastic. We're going to be building new infrastructure. We are incredibly enthusiastic. We're working with them on a road to the G20 to make really good inroads between now and the G20 in November of this year. And this is talking about solutions that can happen today. There's a lot of government solutions that are being discussed about to happen in 10 years from now, to solve this problem in 2030. I even hear 2050. We're talking about, one study that came out and said that recycling needs $160 billion of investment. Nobody understands what $160 billion means. I'm sure we need these larger sums of money, but what we're talking about now is being able to build collection infrastructure that you see on screen, and it costs us $100,000 essentially per site, plus or minus. Now that's a sum of money that people can understand. I can go to 4 or 5 different coastal regions and build out infrastructure, create jobs, and stop thousands of tons of plastic from going into the ocean, and it costs a few $100,000, as long as you do it properly with the right business incentives. If we apply a few $1 million, which is also what we're doing, those numbers scale upwards and allow us to really extend our impact. So of course we need big decisions made by big government for $100 billion sometimes in the future. But right now, there's an opportunity to make a huge impact for sums of money that we can understand. $100,000, $200,000, we can really build infrastructure. $500,000, we go from a collection center to an aggregation center, and we build more jobs, and we collect even more. What we need to match this collection is the demand from the consumer and demand from big business, because all of this is achievable, and all of this can be done. The issue that we have is that it's really hard work. These are difficult areas to travel, difficult areas to engage with. Big businesses know that there needs to be an impact in Southeast Asia. There needs to be an impact in East Africa and different areas where this plastic is just so pervasive. But it's a very hard region to work with methodology and traceability. And that's what we do with Prevented Ocean Plastic. We try to get to the best quality materials, starting from the best bottles and the best partnerships. We're trying to bring the best global recyclers and have them working together. It's a very different way of doing business. Historically, everyone's trying to hide where their material is coming from. Nobody wants anyone to know who their supplier is, who their customer is. Everyone's trying to protect this business. When we work in Prevented Ocean Plastic, we're bringing people together and creating transparency. We're telling people, no, look, we have real ties in the region. We have people we trust. Come speak to the collection center owner. Come speak to the recycler. Come speak to warehousing and distribution. Come speak to the manufacturer, retailer and brand. Come be involved. Come understand where your plastic is coming from and what could be achieved when we work together. And when they get involved in this better than average approach to business, in these aligned supply chains, Nobody wants to break these chains. No one's looking to cut people out. You can do it. It's happened before. It happens in a minority of cases where people try to break something that's good. But more often than not, when we showcase something that's good, people want to participate and they're not looking to break it and cut people out. So it's a risk that we take. We tell people where the material comes from. We tell people these are the people you're supporting. This is the recycling practice that's better than average, and we provide value. And when we create that value for our customers want to support this supply chain and they don't want to drop it. They want to do more. And what we need are more consumers, more big businesses like the Littles of this world, like manufacturing leaders like Groupe Guillen, like people who are really focusing on making a difference at scale in a way that's visibly identifiable to the consumer with this logo, Prevented Ocean Plastic, the little blue logo that we are absolutely so proud of. We've been doing this as a supply chain business for nearly 15 years. And now that we've launched this logo in the last 3 years, we could not be more proud. We also apply research for customer responses, consumer responses. We've been working with Kantar, and we've had amazing feedback. It turns out that more than 1 in 2 customers, when they see that prevented ocean plastic market across different supermarkets and certain segments, they're looking at more than 1 in 2 customers choosing to switch their product to a prevented ocean plastic product. 3 out of 4 customers are seeking to create loyalty and repeat business out of something packaged in prevented ocean plastic. It's really powerful. There's over a 90% positive response to the prevented ocean plastic logo, and that's something that's pretty much unheard of in industry. So for us, we believe in more education. We believe in more awareness. We believe in research. We believe in identifying who are the bottle collectors, in traceability in the supply chain, in environmental solutions and social solutions. We believe in bringing a better packaging product to the consumer so that they can choose prevented ocean plastic. And we believe in doing the real hard work. And that's where I am now. I am traveling. My team's been traveling. We've been engaging in the supply chain, doing the best we can. And it is challenging. It is difficult. We're going to regions where we have to learn about culture, where we have to engage in a business practice in a higher way, where sometimes historically the business hasn't been done that way. And we have to engage and teach and build and create jobs and create infrastructure and take on risk and do the hard work. So it's something we are, again, super proud of. We thank everybody for their support. You guys have helped to bring Prevented Ocean Plastic, this UK leadership, this UK initiative, to a place that's really powerful in the market. It's housed on the Richmond Green. We have a beautiful team right on the Richmond Green, our Prevented Ocean Plastic Research Center, and we're trying to create UK leadership. We're working with UK leaders in sport. So for example, Hannah Mills, double gold medalist in sailing. We're working with the UK Beach Tour, the UK Beach Volleyball Tour, UK beach volleyball players like Issa Batrain, Paralympians like Martin Perry. We're trying to bring people together and do something that is better so we can clean up this mess and we can do better for what's out there, because there's absolutely no need for us to use something once and let it flow into the environment. We can collect it, we can clean it, we can prevent it, we can create jobs, and we can give it a second life into new products. That's our presentation. So thank you everyone for listening. We love what we do. We want to be involved with you guys. Reach out anytime. My name is Raffi. We're located on the Richmond Green in the UK, and we're here to help and serve and do everything we possibly can in this market.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Raffi. That was incredible. We can clearly see that prevented ocean plastic is definitely a force for good, and I'm sure a lot of people listening today are fascinated by what you had to say there, and hopefully all agree. We've obviously now got 10 minutes left to jump into a Q&A. So I just want to really dive into things. Pardon the pun on that one. You did list off kind of a few figures about how much it costs to kind of set up these centres, but tell me a little bit more about the funding and investments behind things like this. Obviously, looking at both customers and consumers, how attractive are these fundings to scale up their unique recycling models?
Thank you so much, Emily. It's really a pleasure to speak to you on the topic. So for us, we had to take some risk ourselves, and we built some of these collection centers ourselves based off of our money. And when you do it yourself based off of your money, you try to do it in the right way where you spend money on the right things. So we've been able to create a model that costs right now between $100,000 and $200,000 to create a collection center. Those collection centers will then go out to the local community that otherwise has no capacity for collecting this plastic. So that means there's absolutely no government collection. If this plastic was not being collected, it would either leak into the oceans and the environment, or it would be burned in private home fires, because essentially there's no government collection. In a lot of these countries that we're working in, we really go where there's no government collection, where this infrastructure is desperately needed. And then we can make this impact, and it's $100,000 to $200,000, maybe 130,000 pounds, 160,000 pounds, depending on what the requirement is of the community. With that, we can reach scale. We can do 50 tons a month. If we do aggregation centers, we can do 500 tons a month. And then the sums of money get a bit larger, maybe $400,000 or $500,000, maybe 400,000 or 500,000 pounds, depending on the region and the challenges of the region. But what we have are the top global experts in the world to understand how to do sortation, how to develop bailing systems, how to get the trucks there, how to create the infrastructure, how to train, how to collect the data, to create impact metrics, to show exactly how much plastic is being removed from these communities and how it's flowing through into new products. And we can create social data, environmental data, real impact metrics that have value and that people can use for internal communications within their business and external communications in their marketing. And we know how to do it, and it's not very expensive. You can either buy prevented ocean plastic. We deliver shipping containers full of 100% prevented ocean plastic as a raw material and use that. Or you can support and develop infrastructure if you want to go that far and be involved in social action. You can just do business by supporting us and buying recycled plastics through our system, or get really involved in social action. We're open for either one of the two.
Fantastic. And also, you mentioned that Prevented Ocean Plastic Southeast Asia became the first plastic recycling program to receive funding from USAID, which is fantastic. So congratulations. How important are the large kind of versus small scale investments that you receive?
So we're so exceptionally proud. Thank you so much for mentioning that we are USAID's first ever support to private enterprise in Southeast Asia, first ever support for recycling, because we do this for real. We genuinely know what we're doing, and we put our full heart and effort into it. So on the same phone call with USAID, we had the managers of the collection centers, we had the managers of recycling, we had distribution and market access, and we asked them very simple questions. Have you ever spoken to multiple steps in the supply chain before, all on one phone call? And then when they recognized that how rare this is to be able to bring people together this way, they were willing to give their support. Now, USAID is so valuable to us because it's a big statement of credibility. When we got support from USAID about a month ago, it opened doors to new American customers and new international customers, really through their credibility, because everyone's learning how to deal in recycled plastics properly. We think we've been doing this for 30 years, but nobody's really been doing recycling properly for 30 years. What's happened is there's been a structural confusion of how recycling works and a need to create real systems for real recycling. And right now, through the USAID support, we're establishing credibility in the market that there is infrastructure that works, there is a pathway that works. USAID took us less time than our first project, which took us 2.5 years of audit and action and social activity. That was funded through a group called Circulate Capital. Circulate Capital raised money from the top 10 FMCG brands in the world for ocean plastic prevention. Once we were able to evidence this through Circulate Capital, we were then able to more easily evidence this through USAID. And now we're able to evidence this through big business, and we're able to evidence this for new investment projects, like the one I'm currently working on in East Africa. So of course, we need the standard business, like we said, guys, choose recycled, choose prevented ocean plastic, look for it when you shop, do the daily things that need to be done. But exactly like you're saying, we also need support from some of the bigger players there. And look at the sums of money we're talking about, a few $100,000, a few $1 million. Some of these big businesses are spending hundreds of $1 millions on marketing. Can't you spend a few $100,000 to support cleaning up the problem?
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, to be honest. There's so many points that you've made today, and kind of looking at the complexity of what you guys deal with, and like you said, getting all the suppliers kind of on that phone call and showing off what you do is super impressive. I kind of want to ask about the complexities of managing environmental solutions across multiple markets. What are the challenges as well as opportunities that this brings?
Enormous challenges. This is what I say over and over. It is not easy. We compete sometimes with companies that are doing really small amounts of material. There's a big difference in terms of trying to fix a problem for 5, 10, and 20,000 tons, 100,000 tons of material than there is trying to support for 500 kilograms or 1 ton of material. It's a really different challenge. So right now we're working in East Africa, where I am at the moment. We're trying to work towards COP27. COP27 is going to be in North Africa. We're really excited to make big announcements on progress in East Africa, Northern Africa, to really try to make inroads on this. It is challenging. I'm telling you, going into the communities, there is a level of support required that I'm sure most people can imagine is difficult. But to do the business properly and with methodology, we have to roll up our sleeves. We have to get trusted domestic partners. We need to get people to work in a better methodology. And guess what? The people are there. The people have been recycling for a long time and choosing to do a better than average job. They already exist. We want to elevate them, empower them, link them up to a system, support them, but it's hard work. I've been away from my children now for a couple of weeks on this trip, and I know that many people are traveling through, doing everything they can to support this infrastructure, but it is not easy. So what we're trying to highlight is the difference between what is a shiny branding thing where you just go for one weekend, take a couple of pictures and leave, and what is roll up your sleeve, hard work, real partnership, real investment, real scale, and real volume. And that's what we're seeking. We don't want to do what's easy. We want to do what's medium term. We want to do what's good business. And we want to empower and bring together the best global recyclers and show people and big business and corporates and government what is possible when you do genuine hard work.
Yeah, and I think that really shows in what you're talking about today. And this is no easy feat. I think that's what's exciting about having these sustainability conferences, is that everyone is kind of in it together. There's a huge factor of collaboration here. And there is just a couple minutes left, and there was just one point that I was quite fascinated by, the kind of 16 islands that you mentioned, creating the first ever collection centres. I was wondering, why is it that these islands have never had the kind of infrastructure in place before? Is that a government issue, or is that kind of consumer based? Where does that come from?
So yes, in the developing world, there are serious deficiencies in infrastructure. Some countries more, some countries less. So right now, what happens in a lot of the developed countries, the UK included, we ship our waste out of sight, out of mind, to regions that don't have collection, don't have infrastructure, and there's no government truck going around and collecting anybody's bins. It's hard for people to understand, but there is no garbage collection whatsoever. Not for plastic recycling and not for garbage. And this creates the issues that we see in all of the pictures. This creates the millions of tons of plastic flowing into the ocean. So what we need to do is go to those regions that never had recycling capacity before and create that capacity and create that incentive for people to collect, prevent, and clean what would otherwise go into the ocean.
Amazing. Thank you for wrapping that up so quickly. I think that kind of brings us exactly dead on half an hour, which is all we have time for. Obviously, a huge thank you to you, Raffi, for joining us. An incredibly fascinating discussion and presentation we've had today. So thank you.
Thank you. We need everyone's support, Emily. We need your support. We need consumers. We need thought leaders. We need big business. We need support. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone watching the virtual stage today. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned. We have some more exciting sessions coming up.